but there are some people who still don't wash their hands. There are some people who sneeze over food. I can't personally trust what 200 people are doing versus, 50 people.
It's entitled ... And we're back! Happy New Year! We are back. It has been a little minute. I kind of caught a cold and got under the weather, so sometimes life just be lifing. For those of you who are new to the channel, again, I am Tammy with entitled ... Wedding and Event Planning Professional. And we are still on our wedding series of our vendor collaborations. Who did we work with? And I just want to say again, thank you. If you are back watching another video, I want to tell y'all, it is not easy making these videos. You got to understand, I am the script writer. I am the videographer. I am the everything under the sun. I'm the producer. I am the editor. I put all the videos together. Like, this is not the easiest thing to do in the YouTube world. So I am proud of myself for even continue to move on, but I am even more proud of you for joining me on this journey and letting me just share all of the information, or some of the information, that I have on planning events and weddings and just moving on in life. So I just want to say thank you so much for coming back and being here with me. It is not a simple task, but it is a task nonetheless that can be very rewarding to me and my company, as well as my husband, who helps me to do these videos. So, hey, we're here and we're blessed to see another year. We're blessed that you could potentially watch this video and also see another year. But that's my little rant. So what are we talking about today? We are talking, I gotta get back into my zhuzh of doing everything again. I was on a roll before Christmas. The holiday season came. I was like, no video today. Then I got sick. No video. We gonna push it. So yeah, we're still going. This series, we are going to talk about our caterer and catering options and what you need to look for and what options are out there for you. So let's get into it. All right, so this episode is entitled Favorite Dishes, Small Plates. So when going down the path of finding a caterer, you must first figure out whether you are having your food catered by your venue, which is usually a one-stop shop, and they have their own executive chef and sous chef who man the kitchen, or if you are deciding to do to have a private chef. So your private chef is more so going to be a separate entity of their own company, who can come in, use the kitchen of whatever space you decide to host your event, and they bring pretty much everything. They bring the food prep, they bring possibly your dishes, cutlery, all those things. So let's get into it a little bit more. A catered venue. So like I said, your catered venue is going to have your sous chef and your executive chef. The executive chef will tell you whether they are able to do certain customizations, or if they're not, open to the option. And they are pretty much your one-stop shop. You know, they offer you your cutlery, your plates, your glassware. All of those things come usually included with a catered venue. For, like I said, the executive chef, usually the menu will either vary with multiple options. We all know when we go to a wedding, you're gonna either have your chicken, your fish, or dietary restriction option. So dietary restriction honestly is vegetarian, vegan. I think those are the top two. The vegetarian, the vegans. I feel like I'm missing one. We'll go with vegetarian, vegan options. Usually, if you're not one, you're the other. Pescatarians. That's where that seafood option comes in handy. Now, with your private chef, usually that menu is an all tailored menu. Like, many chefs will have some options of what they have done in the past. Usually they have a particular specialty that they focus on, like Caribbean cuisine or American cuisine, or you know, something of that nature, and they're like, I'm really good in X, Y, and Z, so we should probably stick to that. Or you have those private chefs who have very good culinary arts backgrounds, and they know how to play with flavors, and they know how to mix and match a bunch of different ingredients. So more so, your private chef is going to give you a tailored or custom experience. We won't say a menu because it is usually an experience. Also, they are going to have most of the time they can stick within your budget. Like, they'll have a certain price tag is what a private chef comes with. A private chef is a little bit more elevated. Depending on, like I state, where you host your event, of course. Like, if you have it at one of these grandiose hotels, then you might get an executive chef who is super experienced and has like a Michelin star background. So the price tag could be similar, but it all just depends on where you're hosting and who your private chef is. And then their sourcing options sometimes are a little different. Sometimes with your private chefs, they are going to meat markets and farmers markets and places such as that to source their food. Unlike a actual catered venue where the executive chef will potentially work with larger food distribution companies, such as, I know in this area, the DMV, we have Cisco Foods or US Foods for their sourcing needs. So then you have to decide whether you want your menu to be a buffet menu or a plated menu. So many people might not know the difference between the two, so I'll explain. Your buffet menu is going to offer a plethora of different options. You may have 4 appetizer options, you may have 3 entree options, and you may have about 3 to 4 side options. Whereas your plated option is a little bit more limited. I love a plated menu, especially, like I said, if you're going for more of that elevated service, something that looks more appeasing and appealing to your guests. If you're doing a gala or, you know, where people have to dress up and be black tie, then you probably want to do a plated menu. You don't really want a buffet menu where people have to go up to the different options, put the food on the plate themselves, or, you know, sometimes a venue will have their staff serve it. I know based on COVID, a lot of times they changed from you serving yourself to having attendants serve you. But you don't want people going up and having to put the options on their plate and people dropping things, and it just doesn't look appealing, and it's not super professional. Unlike if it's like a baby shower, and then it's like a lot more manageable to work with the foods. So yeah, the buffet is going to offer you multiple options, and your plated option is going to be a little bit more limited. However, what I have noticed is if the person is really torn between, or the host is torn between a buffet or plated option, it's called a DUET plate. Now, the DUET plate is an option that appeases most of the masses because you can get up to 2 to 3 different entrees depending on the place. Like sometimes it depends. They'll only let you choose 2, hence the DUET. Most of the time they'll let you choose 2 options, so you'll get a chicken and a fish option with your sides. So sometimes that works a little better because if somebody doesn't eat the chicken, then they eat the fish, or if somebody wants both, then it works out perfectly. The DUET option is usually a little bit higher in cost from a standard plated 1 entree option. But like I said, it depends on the venue or the caterer and what they charge for that type of option. So how do you know what works for you? It all depends. It depends on a number of different factors. So you got to think about your guest count. Like if you're having 200 something odd people, then it could benefit you to do a buffet because that means that caterer is preparing for more than 200 people. However, like I said, it can get a little shifty if all of those people, then you have to manage the buffets. And then sometimes you have to have multiple buffets because one buffet is not going to serve 200 people. You have to have either a double-sided buffet or split and do 2 different sides of the room buffet so that there's not as much traffic. Dietary restrictions. If you know you have a lot of vegan, gluten-free, vegetarians, then sometimes a buffet might not work. You might want to do a plated option. Or even still, if you do a buffet, then you could just have the dietary restricted people have plated options separately. But usually with a buffet, somebody that has those type of restrictions know what they can eat and know what they can't eat. So they're going to pick from whatever options you have if it's not a dietary restricted menu. And then also you have to think about whether you want an upscale, elevated experience. If you don't and you're okay with the buffet and people going up and back and forth, then that's fine. I personally am not a buffet person because I know people, and no one talks about this.
Yes, but there are some people who still don't wash their hands. There are some people who sneeze over food. I can't personally trust what 200 people are doing versus, 50 people.
50 people is a lot more manageable. It's a little different. So yeah, I've never been a buffet person. I've never, when I was younger, liked to go to buffets. Golden Corral, maybe sometimes, but that's not my jam, not my thing. Give me something piping hot out the back of the kitchen and don't show me nothing until it get to my seat. Because I know working in food service, I have held one job in food service, and that's when I was a teenager, and I never went back. I worked at Pizza Boli's for 3 weeks, and I said I would never, I couldn't do it. Not them in particular, but just knowing myself. I wash my hands when I'm in my kitchen 800 times, especially when I'm dealing with like meats and fish and all types of proteins. I can't do it. So what did we do? Dun, dun. We had a private chef, Chef Bianca. She was so sweet. Chef B Cooks, and I will put all of her information in the description below. She was amazing. I love Chef Bianca. Off rip, Chef Bianca, her communication was definitely. So I must say, finding a caterer for us was very hard because I, in my mind, had something very specific. I didn't want to host a wedding and have the same chicken option, the same fish option. You know, everybody does an herb roasted chicken with natural jus, or a honey sweet glazed chili salmon. You know, I wanted those, but I didn't want them to be, what's the word? I didn't want it to be so predictable, I guess to say. So, hence the name of this episode, Favorite Dishes, Small Plates. So, me and the hubby decided that we found Chef. Let's start there. We found Chef off of a website that was a personally catered private chef website. And so she had so many rave reviews about her, just her personality and her flavors and, you know, the different ingredients and stuff that she used. So we started there. It like I said, it was not an easy feat, because then you have to go through all the reviews. You have to look at and see if they have a website. Even still, with our caterer, we made sure she had a website, and we made sure that she had certain criteria for us that we were comfortable with. And then when we did find her, her emailing and communication was spot on. She was very good at getting back to us in reference to any additional questions that we may have had. Then next, we ended up, she did offer a tasting as well. So we did do the tasting. Of course, the tasting is gonna come at an additional cost, which is usual for any chef. Usually with the catered venue, though, they kind of include that in your package cost, but it just depends on the venue and the space. So like I said, we went more private chef because we wanted more of a custom and tailored and elevated experience. Like I just said, I am not a buffet kind of girl, so I knew it had to be a plated menu. But what we wanted to do, what was the unique portion of it, is we wanted to make the portions smaller and offer various options. I myself have been to weddings and you just get one option and that's it. You know, I kind of pride myself on my food and a couple of different things from the wedding. We pride ourselves on food, music, and fun, pretty much. And experience. We like to give our family and friends a different type of experience than anything that they may have already experienced, you know? So, yeah. So to start, I guess, and then she was able to also customize our menu to our budget. So if we stated, so when we did the tasting, we saw the portions. We would be able to tell her, hey chef, you know, we kind of think we can go smaller on this piece of fish, or we can do less on the rice, or the vegetable can be a little less, you know, and she was able to definitely translate that in the budget as well as in the menu. Okay, so what services did Chef Bianca of Chef B Cooks provide to us? She provided us with staff for the event. She provided us with an estimate for initially 85 people that jumped to about 120 for final numbers from 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. And the menu, pretty much, we had an appetizer, salad, 3-course small plates, dessert course, and beverage options. And we'll go into that shortly. So for hors d'oeuvres, we had the roasted Brussels sprouts with honey balsamic vinaigrette, charcuterie skewers, chicken and waffle bites, and assorted sushi. Now, we only did sushi for an estimate of about 25 people, which was probably about 50 bites, just to put everything into context. Then we had a salad course of a fall salad. Then we had the 3-course small plates We had blackened salmon with rice pilaf and green beans, a single crab cake on a veggie bed, which included corn, peppers, and red onions. Then we had the lamb chop lollipop with garlic, mashed potatoes, and broccolini with rolls and butter, which was the lamb chop lollipop was the fan favorite of everyone that I talked to. It was delicious. And then we had the dessert course, which we did the little shooters. We had banana pudding shooters, assorted macaroons, mini cheesecake bites, and mini sweet potato pies. Everything delectable. I think she outsources her desserts, but I'm completely okay with that because they were amazing. And then we had the beverages, which were tea and lemonade. All right, so Chef Bianca, on the day of the event, she showed up. She executed the vision as we had talked about prior. The food was very tasty. Her presentation is immaculate. For her to have to, now, I guess in the context of a caterer, you have to think, if I have 120 guests, that is, and we had a 3-course tasting dinner, in addition to our cocktail hour and desserts. Now, if I have 120 guests, you have to plate 120 plates per option. I don't think many people understand that. That's a lot of plates. It's a lot of plates. We did not get the cutlery from Chef, or the cutlery, the plates, the glassware. All of that was, like I stated, was provided by Honeywood, and we had all different types of plates. And if you want to go back and revisit that video, it shows exactly what we had and what we used. So to have great presentation for 120 plates plus per option offered is very, very difficult to do, and she executed it very well. Her staff was very professional, very courteous. The accommodations with having last minute changes, she definitely was able to stay abreast of, and she most certainly, of course, like I say, reasonable changes. Like, oh, instead of dinner time being at 5 o'clock, we're now moving it to 5:15. She went with the flow, and everything just came together so beautifully and so nice. And we definitely appreciate you, Chef Bianca, because you did a great job. Now comes the question, would we use Chef again? Most certainly. Like I stated, she was very accommodating. Her communication was on point, and her presentation was done very well. I guess to say too, the reason I was inspired to do this series of the vendors that we worked with was because a lot of times, you know, you'll find out about the big companies in your area. You'll find out about the companies such as Well Done Catering, which are great caterers in the area, I must say. And they have great people, great resources. Thank you, Well Done. Y'all are amazing too. But a lot of times, such as myself, I am a small, Black-owned woman company, ran and produced. So I wanted to also offer that same courtesy to the vendors that I used. Chef B is a Black-owned company in the area, a vendor that is very courteous, very accommodating, and like I said, her presentation is awesome. I definitely recommend using her services again. And yeah, you know, like, I started this series so that I could get other people's businesses and companies out there. I mean, as well as my own. But, you know, a lot of times we don't talk about those smaller vendors who are, you know, working with building their foundation for their company, you know, in order to be this major company in the area later on down the line, you know. So kudos, Chef B. We really appreciate you. If you have any additional questions or concerns about my services or Chef B's services or any other vendor that I've worked with, most certainly message me on Instagram or send me over an email and we can connect. Till next time.